Hello and welcome, everybody. We are live. I'm very excited today. We have a very special guest um, who, well, you know what? I'm not even going to bother introducing him. We'll just bring him on straight away because I just can't wait. So let's do it. Let's bring him on. We have from the Full Force podcast, from the Full Force Weekly, from uh, other Full Force things.
Yeah.
Chris Diagnostik 80 McLeod. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thank you, Adam. How you doing, buddy? How's things?
Things are good. Things are good. Watch the first half of the Canadian national team, the Canadian men's soccer national team. 2-0 at halftime. It's I got my times totally wrong. I thought the kickoff was 4:05 my time Pacific, but it was 4:05 Eastern. So I meant to do this and then jump over and do that, but
I feel bad. I feel bad that we're doing this and you're missing out on, your homeland's victory so far.
I don't feel like I'm missing out because I set up my recording because I knew that this was probably going to be a historic game where they're going to qualify for World Cup in Qatar. And so it's probably a game I'm going to want to watch again at some point, or at the very least the highlights. So they were flying too. So I don't think I'm going to miss too much. I mean, it was 2-0 at halftime. I'm sure there's more to come, but I can wait.
I'll give you live updates on the score, although it's halftime at the moment. Yeah, so
That
I'll give you live updates as we go through.
I missed another game when I was doing one of these, and somebody was giving live updates, and it was brutal because I was recording it, and I was like, well, now I don't need to watch it. So that was, but I did anyway because of course I'm gonna watch it anyway. But
Welcome to G.I. Joe Classified Soccer Series.
I mean, I guess Captain Gridiron's the closest we'll ever get.
Yeah, I don't think there have been any soccer stars in the G.I. Joe team, have there?
Not like Fortnite where they have
Yeah.
one guy.
I had a Fortnite that looked I had a Fortnite figure that looked just like me, the football guy, and
Yeah,
he was here, and I don't know what the hell I've done with him. Anyway, I'd have put him on screen, but no.
that's always I always think like, oh yeah, I'll just grab this thing to pull it on screen, and then it's like
Where's it
nowhere to
gone?
be found. It's not.
He came with the Vuvuzela as well, which was quite funny, I thought.
Oh, that's absurd.
Do you remember
It's so
that?
perfectly suitable for Fortnite, but
Yeah.
we got a couple people watching. Tyler says, "Yay, yo, Joe, Chris." Christian says, "Hey guys, hey Christian, how's it going, buddy?"
What's up?
I'm excited to just get right into this. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Walmart figures
Yeah.
and won't we get them in Canada?
Yeah.
The bane of sort of a Canadian classified collector's existence is anything exclusive because they just never tell us.
Yeah.
We all assume that we will get them.
You see, I take it for granted a little bit because when I was in the UK, I had multiple friends who were retailers. So it was either just that, they'd get it in and you just be like, great. And a lot of the time they were getting it before the rest of the world were getting it because it would be like straight from the Far East or whatever. And so like I was spoiled there. I come to the US and it's actually harder for me now to get these things. I still have a buddy in the UK, Nick Wells, In Demand Toys. I still have him sending me things, before before they end up on store shelves. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I feel bad for you guys because you have all sorts of trouble getting stuff, don't you?
Well, we have logistical issues because our country's so big. We have issues of will we get it, won't we get it? Because Toys R Us doesn't bother telling anybody.
Just randomly drops randomly, yeah.
Absolutely. Like so they technically should get the Target exclusives. And then GameStop here actually gets some of the like Pulse exclusives. And then Walmart has had the retro line, and presumably will have the classified retro card back figures. but they're not up on Walmart.ca yet,
Who knows?
and they're not, yeah, and that's, and then guys that I know that are online retailers are, they're just in the dark because they
Yeah.
asked Hasbro Canada and they say, like, is Walmart getting them? Like, can I tell, my customers that they can go there and get it? Will we have access to them? Because that's happened too.
Mm.
Like, Walmart overstock has ended up on some of the Canadian online retailers, like in the way that Pulse sometimes gets it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's
It's
but
such a
Wal-
weird, it's such a weird free for all, isn't it? Like it, and I don't think it would have been as bad, say, a couple of years ago, like pre-COVID. I don't
yeah,
think it would have been as confusing as it is now.
yeah,
And I kind of feel like the world is starting to like get a little bit more kind of like steady. It's steadying, but it's still all over the shop, especially when it comes to shipping, distribution, manufacture, all that kind of stuff. Like it's just kind of who knows? Like, what's the next thing that's going to pop up and throw a spanner in the works, basically?
hmm But I mean, you're like me in a lot of ways. Like, I'm just happy that they're out there somewhere.
Same.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, if I absolutely need to, I can track them down. I can buy them through, somebody else, or have them shipped to somewhere, and forward them on or whatever. Um, and I was looking, and I think as of right now, um, let me just quickly pull this up, because I can, because we're on StreamYard. Um, I think they're all still available on Walmart.com. Now, that doesn't necessarily help us.
It doesn't necessarily mean much. No, I believe it does. Yeah, I believe they are pre-orders still. Yeah.
Pre-order for Gung Ho looks available.
Click on it. Click
Um,
on pre-order, and it'll tell you.
oh, is it? You got to click on it and it'll
Yeah,
tell
just
you.
in case. Just in case. Yep.
Yeah.
If it goes
So,
in your cart, you should be fine. Yep.
so it's they're showing
Do
they're
you remember those?
showing.
Do you remember those days when we'd have a pre-order come up for, like, I don't know, Target, for example, and you'd click on it the second it came up, and it would be out of stock already. Do you remember those days?
What?
That was horrible. Like, in going into your, like, literally been really rapid. Like, the second they went up, put them in your cart, in your cart, in your cart, in your cart. There's no quick way of doing it as well. You had to
Yeah.
keep going back and then finding, bash them all into into your cart. You go in as soon as you're about to press to pay for it. It's like, this is out of stock, this is out of stock, this is out of stock, and you're just like, oh my god, it was the worst. I hated that. That first year of exclusives was so like anxiety building, and it felt like I knew like 3 people that actually ordered them. Do you know what I mean? Like, at all, and in the entire universe, it seemed to be like 3 people would ever have an easy go of it, and the rest, everyone else is just like, who bought all of these things?
hmm Um, yeah, and I mean, Aaron saying Walmart exclusives are the worst. Larry saying I got my order from a USA retailer. Christian saying I ordered the exclusives from Target via Shipsy, but don't want to order anything else until I see how it works out. So, like, Canadians have to jump through all these extra hoops to
Like
get it done.
another level of hoop. Yeah,
Yeah, and like, I don't even bother with the Target ones anymore because it's likely that we'll get them at Toys R
yeah,
Us. It's just a
yeah.
matter of when. Like, we still haven't gotten barbecue.
Wow.
Um,
Well,
and I
which is interesting, because I feel like barbecue and break have definitely been the easiest, the most like abundant Target exclusives in the world so far. Like, that
mhm.
is, it's funny that you guys have managed to get like Baroness, Firefly, the Viper, all of those have come through Toys R Us in Canada, haven't they?
Yeah, and there's like too many Baroness because I think what happened was because it took so long for Canada to get her,
Yeah,
most people got them shipped from a friend or
yeah.
sort of from a
Via
eBay or
Assassin.
whatever.
Yeah,
And the first wave came and went, and anybody that got the first wave was like absolutely over the moon that they got one. And Toys R Us was like, we need way more, and restocked. And there's like a dozen on every Toys R Us shelf in Canada right now.
That's funny. It's funny because I feel like there's been a steady need or a steady what's the word? Just like a constant need for that particular figure in this country. Like it's always been like I know so many people that didn't get them, and
Hmm.
and I hardly saw any on. I don't think I didn't. I have not. The only thing I've seen on a store shelf in Target have been the standard retail releases. I haven't seen any exclusives at all in any of the 11 Targets that are in the vicinity of my living arrangement in the United States. So I think that is also kind of bonkers. One thing I will say about Walmart exclusives is it's not so much the exclusives or the pre-ordering them that's the problem. It's further down the road where Walmart go, we have to cancel your order, or it delay, cancel. Do you know what I mean? Like that happens a lot. And then the other one is they finally do deliver them, but the delivery service with Walmart is a little bit suspect. Like
It's
I
got
was having
your
this
mailing
chat.
label on it, and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I was having this chat with Pat on the last weekly,
Yeah.
and which was yesterday, and he got home once and someone had put the bag with the item in it and hooked it on just in a bag, just in a Target bag, hooked it on the handle of his door, and I was like, that's adorable, no pun intended. But like, yeah, just and I've had so many issues. I've ordered twice from Walmart. One was and they were both in stock. They weren't even pre-orders. They were both in stock items. One was the Jada minifigs, like the little 6-pack minifigs.
Yep.
And the other one, I want to say, was that Jurassic Park. It's the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park Legacy set with the T-Rex, the Jeep. Well, not the Jeep, the one that goes the kind of like the park ride kind of car,
Hmm.
and with the one from the famous T-Rex scene, and Tim, and that set, right? What the first the little 6-pack was delivered to this awful, horrible. I hate it. It's like a cigar lounge or something, like a building near us, but not close enough to say this is the correct address.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I recognised the back door because I've kind of seen it walking out to our car park every most days, and they took basically the guy just delivered it by sticking a sticker on the actual product, nothing, not even in a bag, and just dropped it on the ground by the door at the back of this shop. And I was just like, so I get the email. I'm like, that is not where I live. Like, it's not even close. So I had to go into the cigar shop, which was full of cigar and smoke, and it was horrible. And I had to embarrassingly ask if they'd had an incorrect delivery.
You have any
Which
toys?
Excuse me, have you had any toys delivered? And yeah, and she was the girl's like, do you mean this? And she passed me the set, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And then she said, and this as well. And there's this huge bag of dog food. I'm like, well, actually, no, but it was probably for our building, so I'll take it there and I'll just leave it in the mail room, which I did, and no one ever claimed it. So I don't know whose dog food that was. I guess the guy delivering it was just like, you know what, I don't care, and
Couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't find any addresses. So when you get that email, does it send a picture of where it was dropped off? Oh,
yeah. So it's almost like their proof of delivery. It's like,
right.
Here, it's delivered. We've proved it. Yeah, but you've delivered it to the incorrect place.
Yeah.
We live in a complex. It's like a big apartment complex, and sometimes people just do not understand what to do. Like, do what I think all they have to do is buzz in. Most of the companies like Amazon and Target and delivery companies and food places, they'll have a code, or they'll know it because they deliver so often to the building. So yeah, it just gets really annoying when you have to play a scavenger hunt to find anything. It's like, it's all well and good when I don't know. It's fun when you say it like that, but yeah, when you're waiting on a I don't know, like a really interesting item that you want in your hands.
Well, I was gonna say, it's bad enough that you have to kind of wait for it and hope that it ships and hope it doesn't get canceled and all of that.
Yeah.
And then
Got
to
this
have
extra
it
level. Yeah.
be delivered, but not.
Yeah.
Like this is a bit of a tangent, but I did an order for a couple items off of Amazon just before Christmas, and I didn't think it was gonna arrive in time for Christmas, but thankfully it did. And so I was really excited. Opened the box, 3-pack of socks.
Amazing.
Not what I ordered at all. I had ordered 2 items, neither
Amazing.
of which was socks. I sent them back and said, "Yeah, this is the wrong. I got the wrong thing." And Amazon was just really confused. I said, "Well, no, I got these socks. You didn't send me my items." And they were like, "So you didn't? So you got this?" And I was like, "Why is this so hard to understand?" Like,
Were you talking to the AI at the time? Probably.
it
You're probably
felt
talking to
like
one of.
it.
You're probably talking to one of those robots that pick the item. It's like,
Yeah, like the
error,
claw, like,
error. Was it
yeah, it
this
just
guy?
didn't.
Was it this guy you were talking to?
I feel like I would have had more success if it was a battle android trooper.
And I tell you what, how cool would it be to get all your classified deliveries via Battle Android Trooper? That would be cool.
Yeah.
Just
And it was the claw too, like
yeah,
not
just
the
bust,
hand.
like
The
literally
hand was on the
crushing
backpack, but it would have
the
the
figure.
flamethrower on one and the claw on the other. And I was like, "Is this yours?" And you'd be like, "Yes, yes, I'll take it." Where do you want
3-pack
me
of
to sign?
socks. Yeah, that's mine. Thank you.
Yeah, dog food. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I'll have it.
Which of the Walmart figures are you most excited about?
Well, it's pretty obvious to say gung ho, isn't it? But I think the fact that he is so brand new, like from
Yeah.
almost head to toe. Obviously, there are some. I think there are some reused parts, and
I
for some reason, I thought he was going to have that new bazooka torso that we've seen on the, like the kind of reveals that we've seen.
with the kind of
The
curved
curve,
cut.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that. It doesn't matter because I don't have anything against the other one, the other kind of style. But when I saw the figure, like properly, I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. That's how we're going to get it. At least I think so. I don't know if that's like a like a pre-production-y kind of Oh, thank you very much, Her St. Louis. That's a very nice thing to say. Or is it Hervé? Would that be Hervé?
I think so.
Hervé. Sorry, Hervé. Thank you.
I just don't ever attempt it. I got it right once, and then that was it.
Apologies if I've destroyed your name, but thank you very much, Hervé. That's a lovely thing to say.
He said it's Harvey in French, so I guess
Oh.
say Harvey with a French accent, more or less, and that's
Harvey.
So I think you got it. I mean, I think that's it. So
Fantastic.
and
That's a
then
great name, by the way.
Says, yes,
I love it.
Harvey in French.
Love it. Love it.
James, welcome, buddy. What do you guys?
I was talking about gung ho, wasn't I?
Yeah.
My fault. That was me stopping because I can't do two things at once. If I have to read some sort of vidi prompter, I'm going to read it out. It's like I'm like Ron Burgundy. So gung ho, like I would say, it's kind of like a little bit too obvious. What I will say though is that I am even more pumped about the Lady J figure now, seeing all of her new accessories, the new deco. We had someone comment on our video the other day saying they couldn't really understand why we thought Lady J was any good because she's effectively the same thing. And I was like, well, yeah, but there's a lot of differences to her. So like obviously all the accessories are different. We've got the camera, which is awesome. The fact they did a vintage camcorder. The backpack is new, new vintage inspired backpack. The launcher and spears are different color. Big deal, right? And then obviously she's got the deco change, like the brighter green, the black hat, the new kind of like makeup. I'll call it, but like the new face paint deco. So I kind of like, I don't know. I looked at that Lady J and I was like, oh, brilliant! Like she's different enough. Thank you, Facebook user. She's different enough. Am I pronouncing that correctly, or is it Varsay Book?
It doesn't matter how many times I explain to people. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook.
I did the same thing. It was one you did a couple of weeks back, and I was like, "Oh hey, or like, what's up?" or something. I think it was, and you were like, "That hi, but I don't know who you are." And I was on my phone and I couldn't log in through my phone, so I
Oh,
was just
no
like,
way.
"Do you know what? I'll just watch this, and then
And you
I'll
probably
come
said,
back
"Oh, it's
next time."
Chris." And I was like, "Well, that narrows it down."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Lady J is one for me that stands out as, and it wasn't even like a surprise because we knew she was coming with different stuff. But I
Mhm.
think seeing the figure, seeing the product images, I was more like brilliant. So for me, it's like Gung Ho is he has to be at the top because he's just so
Yes,
brand new. The deco's completely different, new head
agreed.
sculpt. I also love the fact they did him bald to make it like really vintage accurate because now we've got two very different gung hos, and I feel
Yeah.
spoiled by that because I really love that first gung ho.
Yeah, me too. I would, yeah, and I think, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, I wish he was more like the vintage with that first version." And I thought that version was fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, you and I have spoken about this before. I've commented sort of when you've done videos too. I really like the modern updates that they've done, and I'm
yeah,
really excited to get this gung ho because what I'm essentially do is take the two of them and kind of combine them into one. I'm basically getting, well, basically, it's not much of a combining. I'm taking the vest from the version one and putting it on this version so that he's sort of color accurate to the vintage, and the tattoo's a little bit better, and the head sculpt I think is a little more vintage inspired. But then he'll still have that more modern tactical
cool.
vest. It seems very practical to just wear a vest into a battle with no sleeves, no
Yeah,
shirt.
just like I love it when they do. There's a few of him where they do like winter gung ho versions, like in the cartoon and in the. I think it's more so in. I think it was in the Renegade Game Studios thing recently. They've done a cover, and it's a winter. It's like Cold Snap, I think it is.
Yeah,
And that Cold Snap cover, they've got gung ho, but he's got a little bit of fur on the edge of
on
his
the trim,
vest,
just
still
a little
sleeveless.
trim.
I'm like, dude, you're still gonna catch hypothermia. You're still going to die. He is rock hard. Love him.
No, nobody ever dies. That's the beauty of it. That's the GI Joe. They all live forever. That's you watched. I watched the cartoon as a kid, and that never occurred to me that no one ever got shot.
The best way they got rid, I would say, of characters was Worlds Without End. And it was done in such a genius way to have this like alternate dimension that they end up going through, and then a few of them stay behind because they were killed in that alternate universe. It's the only time I've really seen that. Like it's such an intelligent way of going right. We can't kill anyone. How do we get rid of a bunch of characters so that we can, have these other characters on screen instead?
Yeah,
The funny thing is, I think as kids, I wouldn't care if like Steeler just stopped showing up
yeah.
and it was someone else. I wouldn't have cared so much if like Clutch or Grunt had just stopped showing up. And
Well,
the
they kind of
interesting,
did.
yeah. But the funny thing was, yeah, that is the case for a lot of the other ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot
I
of them
mean, a
just
lot
were
of those
like,
characters just
yeah,
got replaced with
yeah,
sort of, the first season had certain characters, and then the second season had sort of different
yeah.
ones, and sort of some came and went. Like Breaker was in the first season, but then he's more or less replaced by Mainframe.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you had Sparks as well in the first miniseries, didn't you? So like, I don't, I can't. I'm gonna have to watch the whole series again to see if Breaker and Sparks are in it. But I can't remember if they're in it at the same time. You'll have to. I just can't think off the top of my head if they are. But yeah, it's like these quick. It's like the turnarounds for all the communications guys, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
Sparks, get out of it. Breaker, get out of it.
Doc to
Dial
Lifeline.
tone, and mainframe kind of like slotted into those
That's
positions, didn't
true.
they?
Yeah, that's true. Lifeline kind of replaced Doc. You kind
Yeah,
of just stopped seeing Doc.
yeah.
There's probably others. There's probably I mean, they probably did such a good job of it that we just didn't.
Have you ever gone frame by frame for the movie to see all of the characters that are in it? Because it is really interesting to see in certain frames. Oh my god, that's what's his name from the bridge layer? Why am I having such a brain fart here? Bridge
Um,
layer driver. What's his name?
As soon as I hit go live on these, I can't remember. I can't
How does
remember.
that happen? I don't understand. I must
I
have
don't
said his
know.
name like 1,000 times.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, he's in it.
Someone will fire it in the comments, and we'll have
Yeah,
the answer within 30 seconds,
within
probably.
yeah, because they're not live. The pressure's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
um, I don't know. I honestly don't know how this happened.
And just like that,
Toll
4
booth, toll
people
booth,
just
toll booth.
blasted us with toll booth.
Yeah,
So
I knew it was toll booth. I'm just an idiot. So yeah, he's in it, and I want to say there's a few others. Well, they literally sprinkled it with every character, and you're
mhm.
like, yeah, but that guy isn't in it. And then you watch, and you're like, oh, hang on, there he is in that single frame when there's
Yeah.
an explosion at Cobra La, and it's literally on screen for like a split second. Yeah, it's really cool how they squeeze literally every character in there.
I mean, as much as people kind of say like that movie isn't that great,
Who says that?
I've heard somebody say that once.
That they should be murdered then.
They might have been. I haven't heard from them since.
I'm only kidding. No, we're all entitled to whatever opinion you like, but yeah, I'm a
Yeah, even
big
if your
fan.
opinion, even if you're wrong,
If it's
but
wrong,
that's
yeah.
the animation is fantastic. I mean, some of the scene, like just weird stuff stands out to me. Like the scene where the Vipers are grabbing their rifles
Oh,
and
beautiful
like
animation.
running, grabbing them and running out. Like it was just so much more dynamic
I
than.
remember that with the Crimson Guard, but there is that. Do you mean that bit
Oh, maybe it
with
was the Crimson Guard.
because
Maybe.
there is a bit where the Vipers are fighting Sarge and the Renegades, aren't they? Like they kind of infiltrate the
Yeah,
terrorists,
yeah, yeah.
and they might grab guns at that point, which is what I'm
I could
thinking
also
might
be
happen.
getting myself confused with two separate scenes,
But
but
yeah, that one where they're running, they're just grabbing them, and then one of them
yeah,
slows down a little bit, grabs it, and kind of looks up, and then yeah, it's like it's not just like Flintstones where it's just like the same thing repeated
it's
6
just
times. It's like
recycled.
there's
Yeah,
loads of beautiful like
yeah.
touches in there. Yeah, Pythona's infiltration is incredible.
So
That
good.
whole scene is just like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just brilliant.
It's yeah, fantastic.
Anyway, this isn't about the movie. I don't know why I kept. I don't know why I even brought that up.
It's what happens every time. I don't think we ever sort of get through one of these episodes and don't sort of end up completely
Yeah,
sidetracked by
yeah.
something totally
If
unrelated.
if you've watched any of our hour and a half to 2 hour long episodes, you'll understand that as well. It just
I
goes all over the place.
I every time I start these videos, I go, "We're gonna do an hour," and then I'm like, "Okay, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. We should think about wrapping it up." And then we go like 20 more minutes, and
Every time I do though these kind of shows, which I love this platform. StreamYard's been brilliant for this, but like when you get loads of people commenting, which is I'm not going to complain. It's not a bad thing. It's brilliant. But when you get like a ton and you're trying to keep up with them all, but you're also trying to read, present, talk
yeah,
about something, and then like kind of keep it gets like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this, and then I'll get to the same point. I get to like an hour, and I'm like, right, we've got to think about wrapping this up now, and it's just like, oh, okay, let's an hour and a
oh,
half
there's
then going through all
84
the comments.
comments. Well, I'll
Yeah,
get started on comment number one,
yeah.
and in the meantime, you'll all keep commenting, and
I feel bad because some people in the past have gone, wow, you didn't read any of my comments out, and I'm like, I didn't. I definitely would have done. I tried so hard.
and it's. I mean, I could, I could have clicked on everybody that said toll booth,
Toll booth.
toll booth, toll booth, toll booth. It's and I say to people too, like if I apologize, like if I didn't get your comment,
I don't
it wasn't
apologize
because it
anymore.
wasn't relevant, but maybe I read it 10 minutes after you posted it too, and then it's kind of like then you're just backtracking and
Well,
you're
I
in
do
this sort
that,
of perpetual
unfortunately.
loop.
It gets me into those positions where I'm like on the screen, we're looking at like Doc from Super 7, and we're
Yeah.
talking about what our favorite classified HasLab options would be. And I'm just like, what am I doing here? Pick
You've
a lane and
you've
stay
gone
in
through the
it.
whole wave. You're on the last one, and somebody's commented about the first one, and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah,
yeah.
that."
Also,
And
or
you're
that's
like,
the other thing, and I love this because people will comment like one word about something that you've said earlier, but
no
then out
context.
of context,
Yeah,
about an hour later,
yeah,
which is about the time I get to that comment, I'm like, "Can you just tell me what that's about?" Because I can't remember.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got to that point now where I'm just like, I'm trying to get everyone's comment that says anything up there, unless it's offensive, but that hasn't really happened, to be honest, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, there's the odd one where somebody sort of uses maybe a turn of phrase that is maybe not appropriate,
Bottoms.
so I have to kind of skip those ones. But
Oh, underpants, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just but I mean, for the most part, I also think too, nobody's watching this, but the people that are watching this.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
just
doesn't
us
really
two, isn't it?
matter.
I'm pretty sure it's just us two, and you've got a load of fake accounts.
Yeah, I just got bots. I've just got all the bots operating.
Oh, I have just started getting, and this must be like new. This is only a new thing that started happening recently. This weird like
Oh yeah,
bot thing, which starts coming in like naked. That like it says naked on it, but it never is. It's just this awful repeated spiel with
yeah.
emoji cons and emoticons in it, and it's just an absolute mess. And I have to keep blocking them, and they still keep coming back. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So yeah, I feel like I just feel happy that we're at that level that bots want to get involved now.
You've really made it. You've really made it when you've got disgusting, rude bots.
Battle online troopers, I call them.
Yeah, it's comical, really, because I have no idea what what's the motivation there? Like, what's the
Who's
end
clicking on
game
that? Who's
of this?
clicking on that?
I
Nobody.
don't know.
It might be like click here to catch some sort of hideous disease. That's what if that was real life, it would be touch that because it's got like COVID on it or something. And you'd be
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not gonna. Anyway, yeah.
So now we've got some of the bots have become self-aware. So now
Tyler.
they're
Amazing. Awesome. I'm glad you are on there, Tyler. That's fantastic. Thank you.
um
Hoarder's amazing. It's really cool.
to which
Hoarder,
order. Yes, yes.
HOARDAR.
I have it, and I go on it. I just never post anything to it
That's
yet.
no,
I
I've got
just
so much to put up there. I've got something like I don't know how many thousands of items I've got on there now because obviously I've been developing it for like years. So I've been the guinea pig of it basically. Like,
right.
how does this work for a collector? So yeah, we're developing it still technically, but it's available and you can get it on iOS and Android phones, Google Play,
It's
and the App Store.
it's great because it doesn't um like it's kind of more of a personal thing in a way,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it's a way to sort of compile your collection, and then people can see your collection, but it's not, it doesn't feel like, oh, I got to get people to like my collection.
Yeah, I see. The whole point of it at the start was sorry for taking over and now
No,
talking about
absolutely.
the app Hoarder. And there you go. There's a little viewpoint of it where you can like scroll and see other people's posts and everything. It's pretty cool. Some new stuff on there as well. Really cool new stuff. So yeah, basically when we started it, myself and James, who is the owner of the co-owner, I should say, and coder and main developer. We were friends. We've been chatting for a while. We wanted to like come up with something together because I would do a lot of conventions, and he would always go to those conventions and see me there with in-demand toys, just kind of hanging out and having fun. And we get to chatting about it. And he had this idea that he wanted to do some sort of. It was like an Instagram, but for things. So right, I know that sounds a bit crazy, but Instagram effectively is you, isn't it? And it's pictures of you, and yes,
Mhm,
it's your stuff as well, and your food, and
mhm.
your holiday, and your whatever. But at the same time, it's not like a source where you can compile like your collection of things,
Yes.
access it easy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just the whole all these things. Like the same with Facebook. Like I used to have this horrible thing where I'd be talking to friends about something or like an item I had, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've got that new Raphael or whatever. I'll just find it," and then 3 hours later, I'm still scrolling in my pictures trying to find this thing.
Even in your
And
own stuff. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Instagram and Facebook aren't databases
no,
really.
no.
They're interactive platforms, but Hoarder is more of a database. Like it's
Yeah, no,
you
that's a
can
great description. Actually, it's like the two meeting, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like you've got the social aspect to a degree, but it isn't really about you in a
Mhm,
weird way. It's about the
mhm.
things that you own. So the collections become like the kind of main thing. Obviously, like what you can upload. It's really simple. Like you've got the app up there, and then there's a little plus button on there. You click on that, and you can upload a new item, new status, or a new collection straight off the bat. And with that,
does it make that noise when you do it?
no, I think it should do though, shouldn't it?
Can that be added?
I'm going to see if I'll put that forward at the next meeting. Can we get it to go when you press the anyway? Yeah, so like you can add like an item. Say for example, I got this Battle Android Trooper in, for example. Take a picture or multiple pictures, bosh it up there with some tags like Bat, Classified Series, GI Joe, Cobra, all of the tags that you would like put on an Instagram post, for example, if you wanted people to find it or see it or search for it, and then once you've done that, you can then go elsewhere on the app and you can create a collection. Like on your profile page, you can go in there, you create a collection. You just type in, if I just typed in BAT and I've got a tag somewhere that's BAT, that will automatically be added to that collection. So if I start a classified series one and I've just spent 3 weeks putting my classified series figures in there and I've tagged it with classified series, bosh, they're all in there automatically. So, and you can kind of like, you can customize collections. So you can have like images on banners, on profile images. And it's just a really cool way of like, I don't know, kind of making it really accessible to yourself, to other people. If you want to, you can actually be private on there as well and just use it as a database. And the other thing is, if you've got if you've got a desktop or a laptop or something, you can get the desktop version. And on there, you can actually find your entire collection that you've uploaded as a inventory. You can download a CSV file of it all, and then in that CSV file, you can obviously convert that to whatever kind of file you want, spreadsheet basically. In whatever Apple uses, I think Sheets, isn't it, or Google Sheets, and then Apple uses, it's not Numbers, is it, or Pages. And then if you want to, but then also Microsoft Office as well, if you want to change the file to something that you can, well, I think CSVs can be read in Microsoft Office. Anyway, beyond, that's not the point. You can also upload a CSV file. So if you had if you've been doing a spreadsheet your entire life already, and you just wanted to dump that information on Hoarder, you can do that. It even has a smart columns thing where it picks out what it thinks your columns are, puts them in the columns that it thinks that's what it is, and then you can actually move them around and change them. It's really cool if you ever come to do that. I've actually practiced it a number of times where because I had a spreadsheet before Hoarder of things because I wanted to keep track of everything, Yeah. But it was a right pain. This makes it fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can just take a picture and it's in there, and I've got all the details in there. I've input all the information, and it's just so cool. Anyway, I'm sorry, this has turned into like I've really plugged Hoarder on this. I apologize. It's like
it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I mean, I think it's a great app, and I think most collectors are keen on something like that. So I don't think and also I don't know how many people sort of know it's out there. So maybe I might do a post in the group too, just sort of mention people like, hey, if you guys want to organize your collection digitally, try this.
The other thing is on the feed, you've just got everyone's posting their things, and you can see like cool stuff. One of the features that blew me away though when we were developing this, it was the fact that I could go into the search bar, I could type, I don't know, BAT. I'll do BAT because BAT is like just seems to keep happening. And obviously there's going to be lots, but you've got Batman, you've got Battle Android Troopers. You can find your own Bat post eventually because there's a lot of Batman stuff on here, which is great. But just stuff like that, and like another Bat. So it's like everyone is, you when you get to the point, there's loads of. I chose the right thing, definitely. There's loads of Bat stuff on there, but like you can go into your own items and search them too. So like if you've got like 6,000 items on there, it's like it's going to be a troll to find it. Just type in the search, bosh, it's there, and you can find out everything really quickly. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, because I went from like talking with friends about this stuff and going like, that figure that came out in 2012, it was a Turtles one, and then you're doing this for like the whole, like we were at dinner once, and we all just spent time just trying to find something. And then on this, it's just like bang, that. And it was that quick. Like I was just, the times that it's popped up, I've gone like, wow, this is nuts. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about it. And and we're still, if people want to even give us some kind of feedback on it. If people are like, kind of like, I'd like this or this to be done, or is this a possibility? Then yeah, just get at me. You can contact Hoarder actually on Twitter as well. We're on Hoarder at Hoarder app, and we're on Facebook as well, I believe. I just don't think we don't really utilize it that often, but yeah, Twitter and Instagram are the main ones, so you can get at us on there.
Now, speaking of collections,
yes,
we're going to completely transition here.
I'm glad. I'm sorry about that. That was crazy.
No, not at all. Not at all. I said we were going to do certain things, and so now I want to do them because I'm dedicated and I have the conviction to sort of do what I've said.
Stay on target.
Now I'm going to go on a tangent and ask you a completely unrelated question to what I was going to do anyway.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to sabotage myself. When you do the weekly, the full force weekly, and it's an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half.
Yes.
How long is the actual, typically the conversation? How much gets edited out?
Not much. Honestly, not much. So what we do, Pat and myself, it's usually Pat and myself, and then sometimes Justin. He's been super busy recently, but like sometimes we'll have different people on, but for the most part it's Pat and myself. We'll basically jump on around about 12. We get recording early because we've got all like the documents and stuff. We've had the prep. we know what's happened in the week. We do a quick double check on what's happening at that moment, because we record on Friday. It takes me so long to edit. I'll tell you how long it takes me to edit at the moment, and you'll cry. We record it. We usually try and keep it within an hour. We try and keep it within an hour, give or take, 20 minutes either side. Sometimes it goes on for longer, and I like the flow of it. I like the conversation. I like what's been said. There's very little. What I will edit, though, are any gaps. So if there's anything like when I ask a question, there's a bit of a delay sometimes with Pat, and there'll be like a few seconds, and then he'll start talking. So if you imagine us talking over an hour and a half, there are probably like 90 to 100 and something of those little breaks.
Right.
Probably even more than that. I don't even want to think about it. It makes me feel sick. When I look at the edit afterwards, and it just looks like, you have to zoom out and you can't tell what anything looks like, because it's just like, it's like a barcode now at that stage. You know what I mean? I use Final Cut Pro and Logic. They're my two. Like, Logic is for audio, Final Cut Pro is for the visual stuff. So when we actually record, we usually generally keep tight, not that tight. Like I said, it sometimes does go over to about an hour and a half. It did. The recent one did. The only things we'll cut out are literal things where maybe Pat and I are going umming and erring about something, and then have to check something, just double check. But that doesn't usually happen, because Pat is like, he's like a mental Rolodex of everything. The guy is incredible.
Remarkable.
Like, just like all of us, we have to check things sometimes. And sometimes we're not like 100% sure, but we'll check anyway. Or like we kind of are sure, but we'll check anyway. And so it's very cool with Pat. Like, he'll know what he's talking about, and he'll be able to say this with very good conviction. And then it's up to me to find the images after the fact, which is another absolute ball ache. But yeah, so if you imagine that takes about an hour and a half, say, that we'll finish, but then Pat and I will want to talk, and we'll usually chat a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
And in that period of time, usually some more news is broken. It has happened in the past where news is broken, and we've gone, right, let's add it in. And then we'd start again, and I've had to find that in the recording and then drop it in at the right point. We've had that happen before. Usually miss it. And then I'm in the middle of editing, and the messages come in, and we're like, flipping heck. But that, unfortunately, that's kind of what you have to deal with. If you want to do something like that, the weekly probably would work better as a live thing on a Saturday. All of it would work better as a live thing, and it has been for the news bursts, because it's more like reacting to the moment. And even though I have to kind of like do it in the evenings now because I'm busy during the day, at one point it would take me like, the news would drop. I wouldn't be getting the news that second. It might be like, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes along, right? I finally, like, the news comes in. I'm like, right, there's the news. And then it's like, okay, now I have to write copy. I have to be the journalist here, but I have to get all the information. I have to understand it first, and then I have to break it down. I have to rewrite that information into copy. So I've got these like documents for every single news burst we've ever done. I've got like thousands of documents on Google, whatever it's called on Google, and Google Docs. What is wrong with me? So then, I'll write the copy out as fast as I can, but at the same time being as careful as I can be.
Yeah.
And then it depends what the story was, but sometimes it'd be really short. So it'd be like, this is minimal information, maybe a little bit of opinion in there from me. Like, do I like this? Is it cool? Whatever. And maybe throw in something else that related to it, something that makes me think, anything that I could do to pad it a little bit. And then it could be a news story that is like, like Super 7 dropped their new things, and I've got to pinpoint all those homages in all of those weapons and accessories.
Right.
And I've got to say, this is something from that episode, but that would take longer, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So depending on that, it would take me a while to I'd type the copy out as fast as I could, set up, because I've got my desk here and everything is kind of set up, but I've usually got my laptop on my lap working on something else around the house. So I've got to run over here, plug everything in, get the mic swung over, get that plugged in, get that going, get the Battle Android Trooper out of the way, sort out, all the audio going into my computer, get Logic going, record my vocal, because that's all it would be. And that's, it's new Full Force News Burst, the Chris McLeod, aka Diagnostik, yada, 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 yada. And then I go into Final Cut Pro. I've got my, I get that recorded, bounce the audio out as little MP3s, intro and Vox 2. That would be the intro bit, and then there's an explosion, and then I speak about the actual show. And then I go into Final Cut Pro. I have a template, or it's usually the last news burst that I did. So then the template is there, if you know what I mean. So I'm replacing the audio. I'm making size adjustments. I'm then replacing images, taking stuff out, putting stuff in, keeping the general template, the graphics, the beautiful graphics that Brian does for us. Get all that done, get it nice and tight and succinct, add, change levels to make the audio sound even better than it was. And then eventually then just bounce that and then upload it. And then the upload goes to Facebook, YouTube. I do an audio version for all of, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. And then and then I go onto Twitter and I do a post on Twitter, and then that's the YouTube one. It takes ages to do. So that's my point. And I'm sorry it took me 5 or 7 minutes to actually do that. And then so now, like with the News Burst Lives, I can just prep early. Like, I can take my time getting some images together. They've just dropped, get the images together, put them in a Google slide thing that I can share on StreamYard, which is brilliant. Like, I've only just worked out Google Slides with StreamYard, and it's so good.
That's
much
my
better than
next
showing like a preview image would have the bar across the top, and it would bug me so much.
Yes.
I'd be like, how can I do this cleaner? So yeah, that's what happened. So sometimes I might do a background image that'll be different to match what's going on with the current story. I'll have to change. The other thing is we've got these wonderful patrons, one of them yourself, which can I just say thank you so much for the support. I love it. Tyler, I'll get to your question in a few seconds. I want to finish this point, but no, you can keep it up there. I'll get to it. So, but yeah, so when the News Burst Live, I just do the pre-prep stuff, create like a YouTube image, I think what they're called now. Just the image that you see on YouTube when you see a video, the kind of
just a thumbnail.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thumbnail. Sorry, I'm tired. It's been a day. Thumbnail image. I get that sorted out, and then I go live. I do everything I need to do. I chat with everybody. I answer some questions. The images go up. The news goes out, and then it's like great. And then after that, it's just a matter of changing a few things on YouTube, throwing the thumbnail on the YouTube video, making it monetized video, and then just going, right, I can just chill out now. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like with the news, doing the other way, the editing process is unreal. It is unreal. Tyler, sorry. So yeah, I don't even know what Adam asked me. I went talking for so long. Given all this, is this your job, or do you have another job? Because man, you do a lot. I'm exhausted just hearing all this. Basically, I'm a freelance videographer. So the work is like, sometimes there's a lot and sometimes it kind of chills out. I had so much already this year. It's been great. But then obviously that kind of gives me the flexibility to do this other stuff for the full force. And it brings in revenue, which is great. So with between this and the freelance work I do, I say videographer because it's easier and quicker than explaining what it is that I actually do, because it's like music production. So I have a music production arm of the freelance company, I guess, that I run. It's me as a sole proprietor, obviously, but it's under Tape to Reel, which is the name of my kind of company. And excuse me. And I do music production, so I've done a lot of stuff recently with Word Burglar. So we've got new stuff coming as well, which I think you guys are going to be very, just blown away by. We've actually done something very well. You people will know we did sort of really cool track for Skeletron and the Robo Skull Mark II, and you guys are gonna absolutely freak out when you hear this track. It is unreal. So and also shout out to Word Burglar, who was the voice of a Transformers bot. Yeah. How amazing is that? I've had to sit on that information for ages, and I couldn't say anything because he was under an NDA. And
because it's gone live now.
Yeah, and he was able to break the news the other day, and I was just like, I can finally talk about this. So yeah, it's unbelievably cool and so awesome that he got to do that. And I'm hoping for more actually for him as well, because that would be amazing. Yeah. So music production is one arm of it, video editing, but then also content creation, like actual video creation. Like I do a lot of work for Boss Fight Studio. I say a lot of work for them, like almost completely for them. Since we moved out here, it's just been easier, and they've been a great client, and it's just loads of awesome toys to take video of, pictures of, create behind the scenes videos for their YouTube channel, and then also product features. And then on top of that, they did a huge Boss Fest event just recently, and that was I think I ended up doing about 12 videos for them back to back, and it was all short turnarounds because they were recording it, and then I'd have to edit it, and then the next one was like a couple of days later, do that, boom, and we did loads of cool stuff with them. And so it's high pace sometimes, and then sometimes I can just relax a little bit and just chill. But it's typical editing kind of stuff, really, if you know what I mean. But yeah.
You were gonna tell me how many hours the
Right, it went from, because my computer started slowing down dramatically, and I had to work out why. And it's because on Final Cut Pro you get this weird thing where it basically saves everything all the time, like in a constant render file thing. Right?
Yeah.
Constantly, like you can't stop it as well, which is really annoying. So I would be at 300 gigs space, right? Which is enough for me to operate in, believe it or not. I've got like a blooming however many terabytes on this computer, this laptop alone, and for some reason it is almost full, and I can't even begin. It's all Final Cut Pro as well, which drives me mad. So I had to keep killing the render files. But if you're working on something really big, it then has to render that entire project again. And so you've got to wait for it to do that. And so that obviously causes a lot of time stoppages, and it's a pain. I will eventually. I'll be working off a server. That's what I want to do eventually, but I don't have the capacity to do that at the moment. So I'm kind of having to battle around it at the moment. But by the by, in a sense. But
how many Patreon patrons are you away from being able to do that?
About 3,000.
Okay.
No, quite a few, honestly. But no, that's just a lovely bonus, honestly, and it's something that allows the show to improve and continue to even churn stuff out. So having that is great, honestly, and I love all our patrons for that. It's great. We've got about 60 at the moment, I think, and between the SAS and the Red Shadow Army and the infantry, it's such a great little group. We get some really cool kind of like, ahead of the news, I would say, information on there. I'm not gonna, I can't go into too much detail with it. And obviously, when you get into the Patreon, you are kind of like, it's kind of kept within that little unit, and everything, which I really appreciate. But it kind of has to stay there for that reason alone. But it's really great if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff and you want to jump on. And you're cool with keeping it to yourself or just in the group, then we have some great little episodes for everybody to check.
There's 4 of us in the Northern Outpost, and we have a little chat, a little Facebook chat group where
That's great.
we discuss it. So
that's not part of the, you guys, you've broken the law. So
that's true. I guess we have, haven't we?
No, not at all. That's awesome. It's obviously for that reason of we can't divulge a lot of the info to the greater, the good, as it were. We have to kind of keep it to the small like group and everything. But it's been a really cool, I suppose, it's just been a really cool little aspect to add to the show, really. In terms of the time it takes, I still haven't avoided the question, haven't I? I'll like I said, I'll get off the recording with Pat around about 2:30, 3 o'clock, sometimes earlier, sometimes a bit later, believe it or not. I want to get editing by 3 that's the late. If I go any further than that, then I'm up for a long time. And then I will sit down non-stop, get that edit done, and I'll probably be sitting there at best case scenario 11 in the evening, worst case scenario 4 a.m. And that happened the other night. 4 a.m. I was up till doing it. And so I think it was 12 hours that it took to do. And what I will say is this is no, it makes me sound like a crap editor. I would be rapid if it wasn't for the software. And I mean that truthfully, because as soon as you throw something into Final Cut Pro, you have to wait for the render to happen, right? It's a short little render, but it's like, it just takes so bloody long to do. And then, basically it's just a case of having to wait for those annoying things. Whereas usually I'm rapid, like when it comes to editing, like it's just, Logic is great. My audio software is fantastic because it's just when you know what you're doing, it's just becomes like second nature, and you're using shortcuts all the time. And it really is, it really can be rapid. Because I've been doing this now for like, I don't even want to say how long I've been doing this for now. It's probably over 20 years. Oh God, it really is, isn't it? God, it probably is longer than that. Oh man, I just got the crazy existential crisis I just went through there on screen.
You started when you were like 12 then, I guess?
Yep. 2 years old I started. No, no, I'm much older than that. Sorry, is this a question for you or me?
I don't even know what this means, so I'm sure it's for you.
Oh,
do you find sites like Envato, Canva, where you can just grab quick and dirty templates have helped any of your processes?
With the templates, obviously, like I said, Brian Sauer does a lot of our graphics. So that is also like that's been a great help, because when we first started the Newsburst, it was nice and cool and everything, but it wasn't like the level we wanted it to be at. And we still, it was still like a good platform, and it still looked good and sounded good, but we wanted it to be super professional. And I got speaking to Brian Sauer, who is a amazing guy in the community. He runs Assembly Required. There you go. He designed that T-shirt as well, which is incredible. He's an incredible graphic artist. Incredible guy too, but incredible guy, incredible graphic artist too. He runs Assembly Required in Des Moines, Iowa. It's my favorite G.I. Joe show, 100%. Even when JoeCon was on, like Assembly Required. I like JoeCon, but it can be quite overwhelming. It doesn't exist anymore, of course, either. But when it was happening, that was a show that we, myself and a lot of friends really used to. I met a lot of really good friends. I met my wife there, for goodness sake. So it's been that was like that is quite close to my heart. But also, it's super expensive, so expensive. JoeCon, oh my God, hotel, plane tickets. Then obviously the exclusives. It was a nightmare, but in a good way, but then when you got home afterwards, you're just like, oh my God, did I really spend that much? And then, but what Assembly Required is just fantastic. It's a smaller show, but it's just so well done. Like I said, the graphic aspect is brilliant. Like there's loads of cool stuff like t-shirts and prints and badges and all sorts of things that you can purchase that are original. Loads of amazing like vendors, great panels. It's just a fantastic show. So for anyone that can, or has never heard of it, check out Codename Iowa on Facebook, and you'll find all you need to know on there basically. And codenameiowa.com. It's a brilliant show, and yeah, those guys do a great job. Anyway, Brian does our graphics. He does an amazing job. We change it quite often, so we have like specific graphics for the news burst, for the weekly, for the monthly, and then for other different things, other specials we do. He does special things for it. So we have like I've got this great person that kind of gives me that stuff, and then we kind of apply that to, so any of the graphics, I'd rather do the graphics with Brian and myself, because I do a lot of the the thumbnails. I'll do a lot of the posts when it's like some sort of graphic thing you have to knock up on Photoshop. I'm kind of like competent on Photoshop, so it's that isn't a problem for me. I'd rather have that full control, honestly, or in terms of in case of Brian, the ability to kind of say, hey, can we have something like this? And then he can do it for us, than to use like Canva, for example. But I get what you're saying, Facebook. Facebook user, I believe is how you pronounce it. But yeah, that's basically our to make anything quicker or to help. Trust me, I've tried everything. At the moment, it's just how it is. And the weekly and the monthly is probably the biggest drain of my editing resources, because, like I said, it's like the Friday. Just forget Friday exists. And to a certain degree, you can forget most of Saturday exists as well, because I'm so tired the next day. But yeah.
But it's a good pain though, right? It's a self-inflicted wound that, I say all the time, if I didn't want to do this, I wouldn't. There's no, I don't feel burdened to do
to my head, are they? No one is like, I'm not. It's not like this battle android trooper is going like, you have to do this, or I'm never going to allow you to buy another Target exclusive ever again.
Exactly.
So it's there's no. It is definitely a self-imposed deadlines in the terms of in terms of the full force. But it's something that like I kind of took my trade craft, as it were, from like years of being like in music production. Then I was a teacher at a music college for 6 years, I think it was, and then I moved out to the US. So like in that like kind of 6-year period where I was effectively running the college, like as a I say running the college with other people, obviously, but like I suppose you call it like vice principal status, to give so second in command, I guess you call it. I got to that level at this college, and we turned it into one of the best access colleges in the country. I would probably argue and say it was the best run center when I left. It was the best run center in the entire access program, and there were a number of access colleges around, loads actually around the UK at the time. And we went from like one of the worst centers, we moved out to a different center. I know this is completely on a tangent, sorry, but like what I'm getting at is there's a work ethic involved here. And we pushed it because we wanted to be brilliant. I redid the entire curriculum for the digital musicians and for the kind of the creative music producers, the audio engineers. Redid their entire curriculum to make it make more sense for them and all that kind of stuff. Because I went there as a student, funnily enough. That's where I got my music production qualifications, and then went there as a teacher afterwards. So and then ended up being like in the kind of, I suppose, the executive level. And then left there mainly because I wanted to come to the US and try my hand at a similar thing in the United States. And so like the full force is like a kind of like an aspect of my work ethic, I guess, like wanting it to be, we have a weekly show, we have a monthly show, we have news bursts, they go out when they go out, and this is how they're going to be done, and this is the level they're going to be done. And yeah.
But you're doing it the way you want to do it, and you're doing it the way you want it to be presented. And if I think what I'm sort of hearing is, if you were to use a template, it's kind of a cop out, and it's kind of not.
But
It's not.
also, like, yeah, it's something that I can't control, and not in the kind of control freak way, but in like a way of like that template is there and anyone can use it. It's kind of like, you know,
Right.
StreamYard is in a sense a little bit like that at the moment for me. Like, you know, we kind of put our own little touches on it. Like I'd love what you do on this. I think it's fantastic. But like so for the one that we run, I want to kind of change it up a little bit, and I want to have that kind of control. At least with the weekly and the monthly, I can say to Brian, I kind of want this variation of presenter windows, or I want this.
Yeah.
I want this angle, and I want this in the middle, and then maybe three either. You know, change it up a little bit as well, because that's the other thing I like to do a lot of the time is like refresh the brand. And yeah, and I feel like I'm loving this format at the moment that we're using at the moment, but then also for the Newsburst Lives, it kind of it does, you know, it's really good, and it really is cool for the audience as well. Like they can really interact with it, so I'm enjoying that aspect of it. But yeah, like the fact that I can't create my own visuals to kind of work, like, you know, I kind of want to put like a thing over the two of us and have like, you know, Brian's amazing like stuff on there. But you know, we might get to that. We might have to. Well, I might get to the point where I'm like, right, I'm going to need this, and it matches up with this, and then you know, put it in the background image, and it works because yeah, it's all worked out to the sizing and everything. But we'll see how it goes.
So one thing that I said I wanted to do, and I do want to do this, and we'll kind of finish up with this, I think, because we're now at an hour and 10 minutes.
Why? I don't know how it happens. I don't.
I don't know how I'm able to keep it to an hour sometimes. That's the weird thing. It's like, just like you, when there's less to talk about, sometimes I'm more shocked than anything.
I know. There was like the thing you said to me, like obviously the Walmart thing was one. At least we kind of discussed that to the degree. But yeah, what was the other thing we wanted to talk about? Is that next?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that, and then we'll finish up. So I want to know, and you know, everybody that's still watching, feel free to sort of throw yours in the comments. I asked Chris, what is a figure that you would love to see in the classified line, but you really don't think it'll make it? Now, Lenny said that everything is on the table, that every figure and all the play sets and all the vehicles, like they're not ruling anything out. But yeah, there's got to be some things that are just too much of a long shot, or just like don't.
Long shot for a start. I don't know if that is a long range. Yeah, there's so many actually. When I think about it, the factors in the way are more like are factors that are Hasbro related rather than physically possible, if that makes sense. Or like you can. What I'm getting at is my first option is version 2 Storm Shadow, which sounds like, well, of course they could do him, or they might do him. They also might not do him because they've done Arctic Storm Shadow and they've done this new Storm Shadow. Now you could like
Storm Shadow.
Oh, of course, yeah, movie Storm Shadow. I'm not saying that they're not going to do another Storm Shadow. They could very well do one. What I struggle to see them doing is another one similar to the Arctic one, which would be like, you know, the digital camo instead of the Ninja Force deco, and I can and I can't see them doing it at the same time. Now you could arguably have the new version Storm Shadow, because it does come with that kind of hood as well, like a hood up kind of accessory. You could give him different arms, maybe change like a little bit here or there on maybe like a secondary, like a little pouch secondary around the waist or something, and then obviously give them all the right weapons and change the deco. You could do that, right? So that could be. So that's for the new Storm Shadow they've just kind of done. Yeah, you could move some things around on the board to make it look like version 2 Storm Shadow. They could go full vintage and just bust out an amazing version 2 Storm Shadow, just like the vintage one. So they could go into the details of the baggy pants that come into the tight boots with the kind of the slats and the lines on them and everything. Yeah. Just very beautifully traditional aspects, kind of really go full force on it.
That would be on a new level.
I'm on a new level. And then have like I actually listened to that today on my headphones and forgot, because I hadn't listened to it for ages, because obviously since we're not seeing the trailers every 5 seconds, And I was just like going, man, I haven't heard this banger for ages. I'm like listening in the car,
it
like,
still
yeah.
creeps in every once in a while when
Yeah.
I mean, anytime somebody mentions that movie, that plays in my head.
I'm on a new level. Yeah. So like they could do the pouches or like like actual sculpted detail on there as
Mhm,
well. I mean, the actual sleeves. Really go into detail with the sleeves and have the tattoo showing. It would just be they could go overboard phenomenal with it, and
mhm,
that is something I can see them doing. But I also could also see them not going anywhere near because they're, well, we've got all these Storm Shadows. Why are we doing another one? Or it
mhm.
could be a Hasbro thing of, well, Storm Shadow is a popular character. Let's get another one done. Who knows? So that one to me is still up in the air, considering it took us so long to get Storm Shadow. Then it took us so long to get version 1 Storm Shadow. And, now we're in a situation where, well, do we need a version 2? I think so, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I think that's a fantastic figure. Great deco, great accessories, like you said. Like so much of the detail. Um, I was just paying attention to what you were saying, and I for whatever reason didn't think to pull him up on
Oh,
on the
on
screen.
3D Joes or something, yeah.
Yeah, that's I should have been doing that the whole time, and then I was like, oh shoot,
No,
should
it's
have
fine.
done
It's
that.
cool. People know what he looks like. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
you
think
could,
that's
you could just imagine how good the accessories could be as well. Like he's got that red backpack for a start. Like it doesn't have to be red, but I would like it to be red.
mhm,
And you could have a sword sheath in it, so you could have the sword going to the back of it. You could have removable nunchucks on it because the detail there's some nunchucks on there. You could have that ladder. Well, they probably wouldn't do the removable ladder, but you could definitely have the detail of that kind of bamboo ladder rolled up on the backpack as well. Obviously, there's the claws.
Oop.
So you've gone Yo Joe, haven't you? Go on
Yeah,
three.
it's
If you go on
quicker.
3D Joes, you have like all sorts of.
When I'm in a pinch and I need to go quick, uh, yeah,
Yeah, I run to the toilet personally. Okay, look at that with the rope as well. That would be a secondary. That could come off. That would be dope. You've got the bow, the compound
the
bow, which would be
compound bow,
outstanding. The
the claw.
claw, it would be a great figure, and they could do that from the ground up and make it
Mhm.
absolutely special and sensational. So yeah, I think version 2 Storm Shadow would be one that I don't know. I'm kind of umming and erring because I want it and I'd love it, but do I think they're going to do it based on what we've seen already? I don't know. Not a clue.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's
I might also
as
might be
Larry said.
overthinking it. I might be overthinking it because this to me is actually something that I think would sell really well. I think people would
Oh,
love to see this.
yeah. I think so too because I think um for a lot of people that there seems to almost be like two camps within GI Joe fandom. There's the guys who were um, you know 8, 10, 12 years old in 82 when the figures came out, and all the sort of version ones are their favorites hands down. They don't mess with version 2. And then there's a lot of people that, a lot of the version twos were sort of the first ones that they saw. This was definitely the first Storm Shadow that I saw, and this is still my favorite version of Storm
Mhm.
Shadow. Um,
Well, in a weird way, it's kind of the similar in the UK. We were getting a lot of the version 2 stuff creeping through. Like I'd have been like in 87 when they brought in International Heroes, but it was 85 we did have G.I. Joe figures on Palitoy card backs. So
mhm,
we were getting like Duke and Gung Ho and, Baroness and Destro and all those kind of guys. We got them on Palitoy card in 85. But then in 87 with the proper full Hasbro International Heroes rebrand, that's where we kind of kick off and we've got, version 2 Roadblock, for example. All of those kind of like figures onwards. So, but weirdly enough, I knew who Storm Shadow was as a Cobra because obviously I'm watching the VHS cartoons. The comics still have him as a Cobra operative in Action Force Weekly and Action Force Monthly. And then I go to the States in '89, just on like a trip with my mum and dad. Go into the, walk down this aisle of just all GI Joe figures, and I was just like, my mouth is on the floor, like I was what, blooming 8 years old, 7 years old. No, I was 8 years old. And then on the wall there is this Storm Shadow figure. I pick it up, I look at it and go, oh my God, this is incredible. Turn it around, G.I. Joe, that exact thing I'm looking at right now. And I'm like, but hang on, what? And I'm reading the file card. I'm like, this makes no sense to me. What's going on? Because I wasn't reading the comic at the time. It wasn't something that was easily accessible in the UK, the G.I. Joe Real American Hero comic. I did have known people since that were reading it, and it was because they were getting it from on import from their local comic book store or whatever. But I didn't have access to that information, so I had no idea what was going on with Storm Shadow. And I was just like, okay, this is incredible. He's now a G.I. Joe cat. He's now in the G.I. Joe team. And then retcon later on, I read the comic and I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. So yeah.
And then by the time you caught up, he was probably back.
Oh yeah, he was. Cobra. Yeah, he was back to Cobra. He's G.I. Joe Ninja Force as well, isn't he?
Yep.
So yeah, I think in my head he was G.I. Joe and then stayed G.I. Joe. Like he was maybe brainwashed back to Cobra for a few times afterwards, but was never fully back in with them, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, that's kind of how I like. Version 1 is like a different Storm Shadow in my mind almost to version 2 and then forward. That very simple white deco, whose nemesis is Spirit, not Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
But
in terms of figures though that are like way off, that I just can't see them either getting to or ever really doing. You've got to look at things like, and as much as I joke about it a lot, I would put Lightfoot in there. As much as I love that character and think it's an amazing figure with the most ridiculous accessories, but they're all really cool and interesting. At classified scale, that figure would be absolutely sensational. Like the colors would be incredible. You've got the option there to do like repaints if like Night Force, for example.
Yeah.
He just would be a very cool figure to do. But I know that he's not in that, and I wouldn't even say like you have to be a hardcore G.I. Joe fan, but you have to be somewhat of a G.I. Joe aficionado to really know Lightfoot, to know someone like Downtown, to have a character that's had like very little play in any of the other media. Very little comic appearances, few comic appearances. He's in that Special Missions. He's in like the one where he's doing the training. That actually might be the Special Missions one. So like he's kind of in and out very, very, very briefly in a short period of time in the Marvel comics. You've been used recently in IDW's comics, but like again, it's so infrequently that if someone said to me, I used to love G.I. Joe as a kid. Do you remember Lightfoot? No, I wouldn't be surprised if they said that. I just wouldn't be surprised.
Well, you could even describe him. He had the yellow suit with the
yellow
green
suit,
and they go, oh,
green.
Scoop.
Yeah, and you're like, no, not Scoop. No, big blue helmet, red eyes, 2 antenna. No, backpack connects to his little
robot
little robot drone. No,
with bat lenticular thing on the front.
Oh, the lenticular. Oh man, on the backpack too. It's a great figure. 2 lenticular stickers, man.
Yeah, and they didn't come off as easily as the bat ones did.
No.
I think that's a great figure too. Like that's.
And the Night Force one is gorgeous as well. The Night Force one is just like, it's obviously muted colors, but it's that color scheme on him. He just looks absolutely stunning, and I would be biased because I obviously did an entire cosplay of that. But I'd love to see Lightfoot, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And you have to kind of at some point go, some figures, just as cool as they are, you might not do them because you've got, you know, Recondo to do, or you've got, you know, you've got Gung Ho to do, or you've got Shipwreck to do, or you've got any number of the ones that when you say it, that iconography stands out to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because, you know, I've talked about, like, you know, the version 2 Storm Shadow. Most peripheral fans will hear Storm Shadow and probably see version 1. Most, I could be wrong actually when I say that, but, you know, I think most people peripherally with G.I. Joe would see the white costume of Storm Shadow, just like they'd see version 2 Snake Eyes, or they'd see, you know, like, let me think. It's hard to, like, with the versions, there's so many of them, and then I'll come up with an example and be like, yeah, but no, people would probably know what that would look like. But, you know, you'd say those Airtight and Barbecue, and you'd see that those are the kind of characters I expect. I expect to see Airtight at some point, not just for the Tiger Force repaint potential, but for the fact that, you know, he's such an iconic character in the cartoon, in the comics, in the UK comic. He's global. So, like, I could see Airtight being done. Low Light's another one I could see being done. You know, soon.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's some figures that just really lend themselves to the like, in terms of the aesthetic, and also, I mean, certain figures are going to be much easier to reuse molds. So I think we'll still for a while get more of those.
Yeah.
And I think there's still so much potential because, you know, even with the figures that are coming out, even with Storm Shadow, even with Spirit, we're getting new parts sort of added. And so there's this broader and broader catalog of parts, which makes it that much easier to make sort of more figures. And they do such a good job with the reuse. When somebody pointed out that Barbecue was essentially Destro with a different vest, I was like,
blew me away.
No. I was like, no, it's new. It's a completely brand new figure. And then I looked at it and I was like,
yeah, no, that was some Cybertronian technology going on there, wasn't there? Seriously.
Bonkers. It was bonkers. And that was, and you just kind of scratch your head and you go like, man, like they really did it. I mean, they
there are some characters that I can definitely see happening that could feel a little bit distant, like Wetsuit. I could see them doing Wetsuit. I could see them doing Deep Six, even. Like when you talk about some of the underwater characters, Cobra Eels, I could see them happening. Oddly enough, and again, one I love to death, the Hydro Viper, that's another one I'm not sure if they're going to get to, if they do it, because I feel like Eels is way more iconic to the brand. And they're always, I feel like, and this is no slight on Lenny, Corey, Emily, the team, or anything like, you know, anything like that. That there does have to be a balance of popularity there. You know, that the character has to be kind of known. And I think that, I think that with Hydro Viper, as beautiful as that figure would be, and could quite easily be an absolute breakaway star, Army Builder as well, you know, could be absolutely outstanding, would take a lot of incredibly cool new tooling. It's a completely unique figure. There's no sharing of parts on that. So I think that, you know, and there's not much repaint potential either. So, you know, for those things, you kind of got to take that into consideration and go, are they going to do that anytime soon? Probably not anytime soon. But if this continues and it's really successful and keeps going, we might see our Lightfoots and our Hydro Vipers and Downtowns and
I don't know how much reuse for like a webbed fish hand you're really gonna get.
Just a bunch of Cobra La characters, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Do you think Cobra La is a thing? Do you think with the 40th anniversary of the movie, we could see like a movie wave? Is that the most? Is that the best chance we have of getting Cobra La, the 40th anniversary?
The best chance of getting Cobra La actually lies in a different company, and that's in Super 7.
Yeah.
Because I think they're way more likely to do those quirky aspects of the animation. And as much as I mean, I could see, like, for example, I could see Serpentor being done in Classified 100%. I could see Pythona being done in Classified, but again, to a massive degree. Not 100% sure that I could see, like as quick as those two come out, for example. I'm not sure I could see them doing Nemesis Enforcer, Royal Guard, etc., etc. I'm not sure Globulus. Like that might take a bit more deluxe. And then when they're talking deluxe, they have to go to their, to the Hasbro higher ups. They have to pitch this and go, this is what we want to do for this wave, and they'll be like, hang on, what is that? What is that giant snake guy in a ball?
And that guy has wings. Like, isn't this military? Like, what?
As much as, like, personally, I would love it, I could also see Super 7 doing amazing things in their Ultimates line. Yeah. Definitely see them in Reaction by next week, the way they churn Reaction figures out. Like, it's
37
bonkers.
new figures next week.
I know. It's like, oh, we've done a bunch of Cobra La Citizens before we've done any other Cobra La figures. Like, that's what they do, isn't it? It's like, here are 15 sailors.
Cobra La scientist, Cobra Commander.
Yeah, big time. And I'd take that.
With little, test tubes.
Yes. Yeah. And then like a spore that actually, if you squeeze it, kicks out a load of shit.
Like a little water, like the little water sort of gun type thing.
A little water squirt would be adorable. Absolutely adorable. Yeah, but like,
I mean, anything's possible with those guys.
Super 7 are going to do it 100%. They're going to do it in Reaction. They'll do it in Ultimates. Classified, I think Serpentor is a very, very good bet. I really do. But the rest of Cobra La might be like, I'm thinking like we've still got, okay, here's something for you. We have not touched any Air Force. And I know a lot of that has got to do with the fact that most of them are vehicle drivers, and that's totally understandable. Underwater operations hasn't been touched at all. Winter operations, like the closest we have is Alpha Commandos, Snake Eyes, and Timber. And that's because the Dio they used was a bit cold. Do you know what I mean? Like actually the closest we've got is Zartan, because you have to stick him in the fridge to get his skin change. So like, there's so many things. We get Dreadnoks. Other than Zartan, obviously, and now Zorana, we Zorana. Oh, I didn't know it was you. Every time I have to do it. Every time, it's like part of it's in a contract somewhere that I have to do that. But yeah, no Buzzer, Ripper, Torch, Monkey Wrench, Road Pig, Zanzibar. None of those guys yet. So Burnout, Thrasher.
Oh, Thrasher would be so great.
Totally, with the lacrosse stick with the spike and the spike ball inside it. Amazing. The kind of like
the weirdest accessory ever.
Yeah. That kind of like tummy exposed.
Yeah.
Really sexy tummy exposed. Crop top shirt. And that, like, I love his haircut. It's like a 1950s mechanic. Isn't it? Like that kind of like sweet grease black with the green. Yeah, with the stripe in it. Yeah. Just honestly, I love the Dreadnoks for their innovative design features. Like they just look so good.
Well, and it's funny because I like the modernized designs. Like I've said, like the sort of really vintage accurate stuff doesn't land with me as much. I still love it. It's still fantastic. I just wish that they took a little bit more risk with some of them.
Yeah.
But the Dreadnoks are kind of timeless in a weird way.
They're weird because they exist in that one space, don't they? Yeah. Like they're like the Mad Max crew.
Yes.
And if you could go bonkers with it and make them very much like, like that episode of Rick and Morty when they're in like a Mad Max kind of universe and everything, like with, like a GIMP mask on and then like some very revealing, you could go like ridiculous with it. But I think if you keep them in that like reality a little bit, in reality a little bit, you get this really interesting vibe and this really interesting design come through. And you're right, it's like timeless. Like you can't really mess with it.
Yeah. Well, they kind of in a weird way they kind of exist outside of not time, but I mean
in a sense they do. You've got like, because like you say, we've got the 1950s mechanic haircut on on Thrasher. You've got like the ponytail and shades on Buzzer. You've got like all these weird beard configurations and like strange hairstyles and a pirate. Yeah. And I just love that they get all these like quirky characters.
Dreadnought. I forgot about Zanzibar. Yeah,
I know. Pirate with an air skiff. Just bonkers stuff. But yeah, I'd say, like, the fact we haven't had any dreadnoks, dreadnoks as in the sub team, not necessarily. I don't count Zartan and Zorana, because they are like literally they're the owners. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So yeah,
I think Dreadnoks is a. I mean, I think what they're doing, or
Road Pig,
well, I mean,
because Lenny keeps talking about him as
every
well.
time people ask, that's
three online events in a row he's mentioned Road Pig.
Yeah, I can't help but think that that's like the third Dreadnought that we'll get, or the fourth Dreadnought. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he'd be saying it and really laying that groundwork if we weren't going to see it.
Can tell. Let's face it. There's some things you just know, heart of hearts, and that figure's designed. It's gone to. It's in engineering already. That thing is in the process. These things take a long time to do, but you just know that figure's on its way. You know what I mean? It's at minimum. There's a picture of the input on the big board at Hasbro of all of the all of the different designs, or on his computer or something.
But another thing that the Dreadnought sort of shows me is that Hasbro has years of this line planned, because people are saying, "Oh, I need this, I need this, I need this," and they're saying,
"Chill, it'll come.
Out. It's we'll get there." I think it's reassuring, that we don't get all the Dreadnoughts all at once, or we don't get all the original 12 all at once, or we're getting sort of a troop builder, a main, and
you can't. The other thing is as well, I think people are losing sight of this. You can't have all of the characters immediately at once. Like that it just doesn't happen. Like, I know there are characters that are like they stand out, and you're kind of like in that situation where this character should have been done. Storm Shadow, for example. It was so Tyler, but I'm just quickly going to jump onto what Tyler said here. I think Road Pig needs his own body size, buddy. I think Road Pig needs to be even bigger, and I think they would do it like that, honestly. Because I don't think he shouldn't be sizing up with Roadblock and Gung Ho. He should be an absolute on his own. Him and Nemesis Enforcer. If they ever do Nemesis Enforcer, that's another one that should be about 16 feet tall.
Yeah,
like, they need to be huge, and I think. But anyway, sorry, Tyler. I know what you're saying, and that's probably better for Hasbro to hear they could reuse that mold. But I honestly think they'd do him much, much bigger, because we'd have seen him already. I've got a feeling we'd have seen him already.
That's my thought too, is that if they could have just reused it, then it would have been a much easier figure. But I think Lenny's essentially selling everybody on the idea, so that like he's creating the market demand for it. So that when he takes it to Hasbro and goes, "Here's what we want to do, all new molds,"
I don't think anybody
would want this.
I don't think anybody would be upset with that being the first Dreadnought, with Road Pig being the first Dreadnought. I really don't think so. I personally wouldn't. And then, like, at that point, well, that's the floodgates opening, guys. And then you can expect every reveal to have a Dreadnought in it.
If you get a completely unique mold for I would say on some level a lesser known Dreadnought, then you're absolutely right. The gloves are off. You're Big Boa.
Okay, a Big Boa is a great one as well, and that's one I would probably say you could probably size up with Roadblock and Gung Ho, honestly. But I feel like Road Pig's on a different level completely. He's on a new level, right? One thing I will say as well, now we're talking about this, is you can kind of see patterns too, and try and keep an eye open for this. I'm not trying to, it sounds like I'm fansplaining, but you know what I mean? Like, what I'm going to say now, you may have thought about this yourself, or you may not have thought about this yourself. But what I've noticed are patterns, and usually in the kind of re-deco patterns that you'll see. Now, if you think about it, Tiger Force and Python Patrol are going to probably go on for another year, I would say. At least the majority of next year, I would say. But then they've got to be thinking about the next subline they're going to do. And one of those sublines is something that I thought the other day, well, we're getting we know we're getting Falcon. That's a leak that happened on his tank not too long ago through, retailer information. And so the fact we're getting a Falcon revealed by the end of this year, I'd imagine, if a Road Pig was around the corner, then you're looking at Supersonic Fighters redecos. You're looking at, you're looking at that kind of thing because Road Pig obviously has that amazing, as it's Sonic Fighter and Supersonic Fighters, but Road Pig has that amazing like redeco, the orange and the neon green and then purple and everything. I mean, that is just, I say orange, that's his skin tone. And this is one of my favorite Falcons of all time. And the one they did for the club, the kind of the one of the last figures in the final 12, I think it was, that they did, the 4-inch modern version is one of my favorite 4-inch modern versions of Falcon. Like, he's absolutely fantastic. I think it's such a cool deco. I'm such a sucker for digital camo, aren't I?
I am too. I realized that I am too. And
Shockwave.
This is my
repeater
for long shot. But because we're gonna have a Falcon, I'm like, maybe it's not. But it's such an obscure deco in some ways, right? Because it is a subline. But imagine if they did Sonic Fighters as a subline.
I could see them doing that as a Target exclusive subline. I really could. And
maybe we would get a Tunnel Rat in the Sonic Fighters Tunnel Rat.
And that's where we're talking about that kind of pre-paints that we've described them as in the past on the show. Of, you get like the you get the redeco first, and then later down the line you're going to get, because we all know we're getting Outback. We all know we're getting Recondo. We all know we're getting Bazooka in their usual gear. It's going to happen. Like, there's literally no argument there. Like, you could say, yeah, but it's not. It hasn't been. Of course they are. It's like that's the whole point of this. Is the standard. Like, is the first versions of everything. Of course, we're going to get the first versions of everything.
It's comical to me, the irony of all the people saying like, I can't believe we're getting this one first, are also the same people that are like, I can't believe we're getting a third version of this figure. You know what I mean? Like, they're
just enjoy it. Just that's the other thing. Like, I know there's, expectations a funny thing, isn't it? Like, you could have certain expectations, and I know the entire fandom does. I do. I have an expectation of what to, I have a feeling of what I'm going to expect. And if it's not initially what I'm expecting, it can be a little bit difficult to kind of go, oh, what am I looking at here? This is really confusing. If you don't like something necessarily, sometimes you can't put your finger on it. But I really haven't had that yet in the classified line. Genuinely haven't had that feeling of like, I'm not really a fan of that. Like, I've bought every figure and enjoyed every single one of them as and when it came in. 16 months later from Pulse. And and then I'm kind of like, I'm playing with it, I'm messing with it. I'm like, this is incredible. Stick it in the diorama, which is over there. You can't see it. And it's all like, oh, brilliant. Everything looks really cool together. I love it. And, like I've had that ecstatic. I haven't once opened a figure and gone, well, this is crap. I'm not into this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
The movie wave figures, a lot of people kind of weren't overly impressed with the movie figures, but you get them in hand and you really. Akiko is fantastic. Movie Scarlet is a
movie Scarlet.
Figure.
Yeah, the deco's superb. The design's really fun. I love it. Yeah,
I think if your argument is like, well, we already have a Scarlet, but you don't like that one, but then you still don't like the movie one. I was like, I mean,
guess what? You're gonna get another Scarlet. Like. I guess another thing, isn't it?
At least another Scarlet, right? We're going to get multiples, and this is going to be year over year. We're going to get more and more figures, and it's just, I mean, the complaints
Sublines is a fun one, as a fun discussion, though, isn't it? As in, like, what could be the next sublines for something like Target? What could be the theme for something like Target? Initially, when they did Cobra Island, I was expecting like an underwater theme and a winter theme, and that's what I was expecting. And then when they did Tiger Force Python Patrol, it's like, right, so sub teams are in the mix now. So now we're going to be like Night Force, Eco Warriors, Ninja Force, all that kind of good stuff. So like, I'm Sky Patrol even. Yeah, Tristan McDonald. Yeah, baby. Ninja Force Snake Eyes.
The line has just gone from strength to strength. The only expectation I have is that the Target and Walmart exclusives are going to cost me double or triple.
Costs have gone up, haven't they, quite dramatically?
Well, so Toys R Us in Canada, you may or may not know this. So you guys had the figures go from like $20 to $22 US, 24, I think, in some cases.
Yeah, I think we're up to 20. I think we're up to 20. I think we're up to 26 now.
26,
I think
$25.99 or whatever.
yeah, I think it's $25.99 now. Yeah,
We
not
started
saying
at
that's a bad. That isn't that bad. Sorry, carry on.
no, we started at 30, which is still a little above like what your pricing was,
Yeah.
and we went
Are we
from
talking US dollars?
no,
30.
that's Canadian, so it's 27 or something when you
Okay,
guys had
still
them at
yeah,
about 20.
yeah.
Um, but Toys R Us has just jacked their prices up. They went from like $35 to $45,
Oh my god.
which
That
which is like
I
30.
knew the prices were high in Canada for that, but
Mhm.
I didn't know it was that much. That's incredible.
But I mean I say that, but I also like it's weird because Toys R Us got bought by some other company and has it seems like they've completely changed their business model.
That's a
They
shame.
they tore out a whole bunch of aisles of toys and put in a whole bunch of books. Now I have nothing against books, but I'm not going to Toys R Us for my books.
Yeah,
And then they sort of jacked up all the Hasbro prices. They jacked up all the Lego prices, so they're all above MSRPs.
that's
Um,
weird. I wasn't aware of any of those changes, honestly. I
but
was excited to come to Canada and go to a bunch of Toys R Us's, and now I'm just going to be like, oh, what a shame.
they're still great. I mean, they're still it's still the greatest toy store in the world. But it's less great as a collector.
Yeah,
Um, I think they're sort of doing or they're sort of applying the ideology that Walmart's toy department has that like
mm,
people are here to buy a gift for somebody, whether it's a birthday present or a Christmas present or whatever. So they're getting in there, they're getting the item that they want, they're getting out, and they're not a collector. They don't realize that this price is over what it should be by a few dollars.
right.
Thankfully, all the online retailers, including eCollectibles, who is my favorite online retailer, um, have kept all their pricing at like 35, 36, $37. So well below the price of Toys R Us. Toys R Us is just going to price themselves out of the market
Yeah, that
in a
seems odd,
way.
doesn't it? That seems
But
really odd. And a shame that I do feel the pain that you guys are going through. That sucks to be gouged so high, you know.
it, but it is what it is. I mean, and that's like for me, it's sort of like if they were too expensive and they weren't great figures, it would be easy to
Yeah,
pass.
yeah,
But I still think they're worth like if they're $45 at Toys R Us and it's the exclusive and that's the only place I'm going to get it, $45 on the shelf is still cheaper than getting a $27 US figure shipped to Canada.
Oh, mate, don't tell me, but don't talk
So
about that. The fact that all like these, it's like brokerage fees you guys have to pay and stuff like that is disgusting. Well, I
yeah,
know that's with UPS, isn't it? The brokerage stuff. That's awful.
UPS is bad. DHL is bad. FedEx is the worst because they'll send you an invoice after the fact,
Oh, that's nice of them. Here you
and
go,
it's
guys. Have this
oh,
little
by the way,
present.
we didn't tell you. You owe $60 on top of
Oh,
the $30 you paid to ship it.
for what, a $25 toy? Unbelievable.
It's bonkers.
I used to have that when I was in the UK. I would buy from Big Bad Toy Store. I did a couple of purchases from Big Bad Toy Store in the US, and the shipping was astronomical. But I didn't know that until you go through the whole checkout phase, and it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to get this 25th anniversary
Yeah,
like Wraith anywhere else. I kind of need to get it now,
and I
and
need
then.
it.
And I need it though. I need it now. And then you just buy it, and then you pay all over double than what you actually paid for the figure. And it's like, what's
Yeah,
the point? Is that I didn't do it much after that. After that, it was Small Joe's was my go-to place for most of
yeah,
the time. Small
yeah,
Joe's was a great little site. For many years, I was in the UK, and then I met a friend in Nick Wells, In Demand Toys, and all my toy needs were met, thankfully, from that
hmm
point on. Anyway, yeah,
and I mean, I mean, what I always sort of tell people and stress to people, and I kind of feel like I'm on a soapbox shouting it out because I still have people that are like, well, I don't know. Build relationships with people. Meet collectors that are in other places.
yeah,
Um, Mike at eCollectibles and I are good friends. We chat every single day. And it's more than sort of a customer retailer relationship. You
it's
create
lovers
those
now, isn't it?
relationships. Like,
It's
what's that?
lovers now. It's lovers now. You've next level.
If you ask my wife, I think there's a bit of jealousy there.
Amazing.
But it's, it's one of those things where, like, if there's a standard release G.I. Joe figure coming out, he knows to just send me the invoice. And
yeah, that's amazing. That's brilliant.
And the great thing too is that stuff sells out on Pulse right away, and then we don't know if we're going to get it at Toys R Us. We don't know if we're going to get it at Walmart. You can still order all the standard release stuff from the online guys at the appropriate price.
Yeah, not getting gouged three
Yeah.
ways, three different
And
directions.
in a lot of cases too, free shipping over however much, and so I just kind of bank it until it's over the threshold, and works out great.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad. Shout out to eCollectibles.
Fantastic, yeah. Or whoever, But
there are other. There are other.
But I mean, he's the one. He's the one. He also, I mean, I this is sort of unsolicited. It's just I sort of do all this because I appreciate what he does. He runs contests in our group specifically.
That's cool.
So he wants to help the group grow, and by extension, I'm happy to sort of help him grow as well. So
awesome, man.
Win-win. Awesome. Well, we're a little over.
Couple more hours to go, is there?
I think we've covered everything we said we were going to cover.
I've just got 3 more points I want to... No, I'm kidding. Carry on.
Yeah, go. Yeah, point number 1. Go ahead.
Figures that we're going to see. No, I'm just kidding. It's been fun, man. I really enjoyed coming on. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a blast. And, if people were unfamiliar with you before, I don't know how they could have been, but...
Easy.
I just have to say that, like, when I got back into collecting Joes, I just sort of stumbled across... your news bursts, and then that was before you were doing weeklies and monthlies and stuff like that. And I was so inspired to sort of get involved in groups and get involved in stuff because of how positive you were, and because of how encouraging and hopeful, and the whole point of collecting toys is fun. And finding the joy in it. And so I thank you for that. I thank you that sort of you're sort of unwavering in that respect, and I try to do that as well. So I absolutely appreciate you coming on, man, and I absolutely appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
And I'm very excited to see what comes next. Where can people find you if they don't already know where you are?
You can find the Full Force podcast
on... No, your address. What's your address?
Oh, that is... if you just go onto my Walmart account, it's 3 houses in some other direction, apparently. Yeah, it's a cigar lounge. You can find us, the Full Force podcast, on Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. You can also find us, obviously, on Facebook and Twitter at the Full Force. And you can find us on our YouTube channel, which is the main driving force, I guess, now. And that is obviously, again, the Full Force podcast. And we do, like I said, we do news bursts when they happen-ish, on the day at least, and live now. And we do weeklies every week, weekly episode every week, and a monthly episode every month, covering, like I said, news in the week for the weekly, and then the monthly is more about a kind of general comment or a general topic that we like to discuss. And you can watch us in multiple fashions and multiple forms. Yeah, check us out on all those platforms, and also Twitter as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned Twitter. I think I did, but just in case, at the Full Force.
Perfect.
Oh, you can also find me at Diagnostik 80, spelled as it is on the screen there with a K. That's the German spelling, by the way. Diagnostik 80, and that is on Instagram and Twitter. And Hoarder, HOARDAR.com. And from there, you can find all of the different app locations as well. So like I said, iOS and Google App Store. Go for it.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure.
It's been amazing. Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate it.
thank you, everybody. As I sort of said before, and as the little banner is scrolling, if you haven't already, I can't believe anybody wouldn't have already gotten their pre-orders in for the upcoming waves. I keep saying this, those things are going to show up sooner than you think. And as soon as they do, people are going to panic and they're going to be sold out. So go to eCollectibles, get your orders in. And I will see you guys all again, very likely, next Sunday. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.